Precious was everything a young woman aspired to be: beautiful, intelligent, and ambitious. At 25, she was in her final year at university, studying business administration. She dreamed of a bright future, a stable career, and maybe even a fairy tale love story. One evening, her best friend, Linda, convinced her to attend a party at an upscale club in town. Precious was hesitant, but Linda insisted. "You need to have fun for once, Precious. Life isn't just about books." The moment they walked in, the air buzzed with energy. Neon lights flashed, music thumped, and laughter filled the air. That was when she saw him. Patrick, known as Pablo in the streets, was a 29-year-old internet fraudster, infamous for his extravagant lifestyle. He was the center of attention, surrounded by women, his diamond chain glistening under the club lights. Their eyes met across the room. Precious felt an unfamiliar flutter in her chest. She wasn't usually drawn to flashy men, but something about him pulled her in. He walked over with a confident smirk. "Hey, beautiful. I don't think I've seen you around before." His deep voice sent shivers down her spine. "I don't go out much," she admitted, smiling shyly. That night, they talked for hours. He was charming, funny, and intelligent. When he asked for her number, she hesitated but eventually gave in. She had no idea she had just invited the devil into her life. Patrick wasted no time in sweeping Precious off her feet. He sent good morning texts, took her out for expensive dinners, and spoiled her with designer gifts. "Patrick, how do you afford all this?" she asked one evening as he handed her a brand new iPhone. He chuckled. "I'm into international business, babe. I have clients abroad who pay well." His vague answers should have been a red flag, but she was too smitten to see through the lies. Her friends were skeptical. "Be careful, Precious," Linda warned. "Guys like Patrick don't make clean money." But Precious defended him. "He treats me well, Linda. Maybe he's just lucky." She didn't know that luck had nothing to do with it. As their relationship deepened, whispers began to circulate. Precious overheard students on campus gossiping about Patrick. "Pablo. That guy is dangerous. People say he's into rituals. I heard he sacrificed someone before." She dismissed it as jealousy. After all, people love to talk. One night, while spending time at Patrick's house, she woke up to find him missing from bed. Following the sound of hushed voices, she tiptoed toward the living room. Through the slightly open door, she saw Patrick on a phone call. "The deadline is near. I'll handle it. Just be ready," he said in a low, serious tone. A chill ran down her spine. What was he handling? When he returned to bed, she pretended to be asleep. But deep inside, a seed of doubt had been planted. Patrick started acting differently. He would disappear for days, ignore her calls, and seem distracted even when they were together. "Is something wrong?" she asked one evening. He forced a smile. "Nothing, babe. Just business stress." But Precious wasn't convinced. Then, one day, she stumbled upon a small, strange shrine in his room. A red cloth covered a wooden table with candles and a black bowl at its center. Her heart pounded. She confronted him. "Patrick, what is this?" His eyes darkened. "Don't touch that," he snapped, grabbing her wrist. Then, his expression softened. "It's just traditional protection, babe. Nothing to worry about." But she was worried. That night, Precious had a nightmare. She was running through a dark forest, her breath heavy, her feet sinking into the mud. Shadows lurked behind her, whispering her name. Then, she saw Patrick, holding a knife, his eyes blank and lifeless. She jolted awake, sweating. Something wasn't right. Patrick invited Precious on a weekend getaway to a remote resort. "Just the two of us," he said. She was excited, believing it was his way of making up for his recent distance. But Patrick had other plans. The cult had given him strict instructions. The ritual would take place in the nearby forest. This would be their last trip together. At the resort, Patrick treated her like a queen, romantic dinners, boat rides, and sweet kisses. But inside, he was dying. Every time she smiled at him, guilt gnawed at his soul. Yet, greed and fear were stronger. On the last night, he slipped something into her drink. She felt dizzy. "Patrick. I don't feel," her vision blurred. The last thing she saw was his sad eyes before darkness consumed her. Precious woke up tied to a wooden altar deep in the forest, surrounded by men in black robes. Her heart raced. "Patrick. What's happening?" He stood before her, holding a dagger. His hands trembled. "I'm sorry, Precious," he whispered. Tears streamed down her face. "You said you loved me." "I do," he choked. "But I love my life more." With that, he raised the dagger. Her lifeless body lay on the altar, her once bright eyes staring at nothing. Patrick felt power surge through his veins. The ritual was complete. He had done it. He was rich forever. But money couldn't buy peace. At night, he heard her voice. "Patrick." He saw her reflection in mirrors. Blood dripping from her lips. When he closed his eyes, he felt her fingers on his throat. She had come back. Linda knew something was wrong. Precious had never returned from the trip. She filed a report. The police investigated. Then, a former cult member confessed everything. Patrick tried to flee the country. But they caught him. The courtroom was silent as the judge's voice rang out. "Patrick Okoye, you are sentenced to life in prison." As he was led away in handcuffs, he caught a glimpse of a familiar face in the crowd. "Precious." She smiled. Then vanished. Patrick spent his nights in prison screaming. The guards found him one morning, his eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a silent scream. But the cameras showed something chilling. His cell was empty all night. Yet, before he died, he had whispered one word over and over again. "Precious."